barely dawn. The troops have not yet landed on the beaches. This is the landing. This is it.
They put me on an aircraft carrier and sent me to Pearl Harbor. That was a real sight when we pulled in there. All the ships were still sunk and in the water, and I remember that vividly, how many of our sailors and soldiers lost their lives that day. My name was Ronald Johnson. I enlisted at 14 years old in 1942. One of the primary things that I remember in 1942 is that when I was on the Hornet, my recon squadron escorted the PBY-5As that spotted the Japanese fleet that was en route to attack Midway. We were able to launch our aircraft and attack the Japanese fleet. As a matter of fact, we did significant damage to their fleet. How many of our sailors and soldiers lost their lives that day. Hornet lost a whole squadron in that particular attack. I think only one pilot survived. After the Hornets sunk, I was in the air, and they sent us to the USS Enterprise, which was the CVA-6. The Koreans wouldn't admit that they had American prisoners, so they asked my unit to jump in North Korea and march over to the POW camp and take pictures so they could show the North Koreans that you're lying to us. And that's what we did. In July of 1950, Korea started, and bam, I'm on an airplane heading for Japan. I stayed there for about a month, and then I went down to the Daiichi building, which was headquarters for the Army. General sees me walking, and he said, "Sergeant, just a moment." And I said, "Yes, sir." And he says, "Where are you headed?" And I said, "I'm supposed to report in to Army headquarters here." He said, "Come with me." So And the first thing I learned in the military is never volunteer for anything. And I said, "Oh, that's great, sir." And he says, "I'm going to put you on a plane and send you back to North Carolina, and you're going to learn how to jump out of an airplane." I said, "Oh." We did. We jumped in. The only thing is that we jumped in at 10,000 feet in a 12-knot wind, and it spread us all over the northern part of our DZ, our drop zone. And it took us about 3 hours to recuperate. That's when I landed in a tree. It tore up my left side, so my platoon, we got together again, and they got me down from the tree, transported me to the Han River Bridge, transported me to the air base, and they shipped me back to Japan and put me in the hospital. I also flew off the North Carolina as a spotter for the 16-inch guns, and I was on her from Tarawa, which was in 1943, and I left her in 1945 after the war, when we pulled into Boston, Massachusetts. Every resident in that city was on the dock waving to us. After that, I was stationed in the Naval Air Station, Atlantic City, New Jersey. And I became a member of their naval boxing team. 1946 until I got out in 1950 was a member of the Navy boxing team. I was also a member of the All Services boxing team. One of the nice things in the military in the 1940s was you could be in the service and still be a professional athlete. So in 1948, I signed a contract with a gentleman named Joe Vella from New York, and I became a professional boxer. And I did 16 of those fights around the East Coast, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. My record in the amateurs was 98 amateur wins and 1 loss. I was so severely beaten that I lost consciousness for 3 months and was housed in a naval hospital in Philadelphia. And the doctor told me when I woke up, he said, "Your boxing career is over." And I haven't done that since. I took a discharge from the Navy in 1950. After I got out of the military, I went to work in a major hospital in California and learned that process. And eventually I became a administrator of a hospital down in Phoenix. And I did that until I retired. I now live in Cordes Lakes, Arizona, and basically until this last year, I was the president of St. Vincent de Paul food pantry and thrift store here in the Mayor Cordes Lakes area, and we give food boxes twice a week, Thursday and Fridays, to needy families, and I did that for 15 years. And just last year, I went totally blind, and I had to give up that job, and now I basically just stay at home.